Hey everyone, this is Professor E. So in today's lecture, we are going to talk a little bit more about Microsoft Access. So after learning about creating a blank database from scratch and then learning how to create a table, the fields, the different fields with their data types, and how to run basic queries. So today we're going to learn how to establish the relationship between different tables. So we're going to have more than one table. Okay, as you can see here, we have an example of bank account database, and it has two tables. The customer table, it has all the basic contact information for customers, customer ID, first name, last name, address, city, and state. Now, in this table, customer ID will be the primary key. Again, like what we meant, like we mentioned earlier, a primary key is a field, is an attribute that is unique, that cannot accept duplicates. First name accept duplicates. You may have more than one customer with the same first name, the same thing for last name and address. But there is no way for two or more customers to have the same customer ID. So it can be served as a primary key. The same thing for account table. We have account ID will be the primary key. Now you may notice that I have customer ID also because in the customer table, customer ID is the primary key, but in the account table, it becomes a foreign key. We need that common field to establish a relationship. So that's basically the field that's going to link the two tables. Okay, so and then we're going to run some queries as you can see. So let's switch to, well, let's open Access. So we're going to open Access, and then we're going to create a database from scratch, like a blank database. So we are going to save it I'm going to save it in an account DB database. And I'm going to call it the same thing, account database. And then click OK. And then click create. Okay, so I'm going to change view to design. I'm going to start with the first one, which is custom. So customer, as you can see by default, the first one is the primary key, and it's going to be customer ID. So customer, be careful because if you misspell it, it may create some conflict, some problems. So you need to be very careful when it comes to spelling. And this is going to be short text, and this is the primary key. Okay, and then we have the first name, short text, last name, short text. We have address, short text, city, short text, and then state, short text. Okay, so we are done with this. As you can see, if I switch to data sheet view, the table is empty. We're going to put the information there. Now we're going to create the second table. That's going to be the account. So we're going to call it account table. Click OK. Again, just like the customer table, we start with the primary key, account ID. It's going to be the short text. So that's the primary key of the second table, account table. And then we talked about customer IDs. I'm being very careful that I don't misspell it. And that also the data type should be the same as the first one. So if in customer table, I choose short text, I cannot use number here. It has to be the same. And in the second table, it will be a foreign key. Foreign key. And then the rest, we have the account type. That means either checking account or saving account. Yeah, that short text will be fine. And then we have date opened. And it's going to be date and time. And then I'm going to choose a short date just to make it simple. Now, finally, we have the balance. So balance will be currency. Okay. So now let me double check, make sure everything is fine. As you can see right here, We have customer ID. All of them are short text. Okay. Now for the address, I may choose a long text just in case it needs more space. Okay. Save. Now for the second one, let me make sure that the customer ID has the same data type as customer ID in the first step. Everything else is okay. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just gonna, as you can see right here, I already, let me see here, I have added the information, as you can see right here. I put all the information, I populated the both tables, accounts and customer. All right, so the next step is to establish the relationship between the two. How can we do that? So you go to database tools, and then can you see relationships here? So you click on it, and okay, let me close this. So I'm going to go to relationships, and it's right here, add table. If you don't, usually by default you will have that tables, the table that this should be in here, somewhere in here. But if you don't, you just click on add tables, and then you're going to have this. So by default you will have this, but in case you just click on add tables and it will show right here, and then you just double click or you can drag. So double click customer, and then double click accounts. See that? Now, how do we connect? They are not connected now because there is nothing between them. They're just like separate here. Now, I'm going to get the customer ID from the customer table. That's the primary key. And I'm going to drag it and drop it into the same field in the second table. So I'm going to just drag it like this and then drop it into the second one. Make sure it's the same one. And then to enforce referential integrity, to make sure the relationship is established, as you can see, we have one too many. What does one too many? That means for a customer can have more than one account, but an account can be associated only with one customer. It doesn't go the other way, okay? And then you click create. So as you can see, so now the relationship is established. So one, and then you can see many, like the math symbol for many, like infinity. All right, so 1, 2. So now the relationship is established. Okay, now make sure you save it because it's going to prompt you to save it. And then you can run the rest of the queries. So let's see how it works. So we establish a relationship. Now we're going to run these queries. So the first one displays the list of customers from Texas. Now I'm going to go to queries, create, query design. Now, before we had only one table. Now we're going to need two. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get fields, some fields from the first one and other fields from the other table. So for customer, I'm going to choose first name, last name, and then just state. Okay, you can add more if you want to. And then from the other table, account, I'm going to probably the account type and then the path. I mean, you can add more. I'm just saying that you can get fields from both tables. So now because they are connected, there is a relationship between the two. So they will, there is no problem having both of them. So click next and then click next. Then give it a name. So I'm going to put Texas customers. And then click modify. And then since we're talking about states, I'm going to go to criteria and put TX and then run the query. So it's going to show all the customers with their account, what type. So as you can see, both tables are in the query, in the same query. Now, without establishing relationship, we are not going to have this. And then you can save. Okay, save it. And then we're going to go to the second one. What is the second question? Display the list of customers from Smithville or Houston. So we're going to do the same thing. we are going to create a query wizard and follow the same process. So I'm going to go to customer, get the first and last name and state. And then from the account table, we are going to get the account type and the balance. And then move on to the next one. And then I'm going to put Smithville or Houston. Smithville or Houston customers. And then modify, click finish. And then we said states, city. Oh, I did not include city. So I need to make sure, how do we add it? I can just double click from here, city. Okay. And then in city, I'm going to put in criteria, Smithville, and then you can see, or so in the second row, you can put Houston. So it's going to show either this or this. And then run the query, and sure enough, we have either Smithville or Houston. Then we save it. Okay, what's the next one? So the next one, it says, display the list of customers who opened their accounts before 1/1/2003. So I'm gonna go and then create, and then result, same steps. So the first table, first name, last name, and then states. And then for the second table, I'm going to dates or the account type and also the date open, because that's the criteria I'm going to be using. Now click next, and then click next, and then change the name, say customers who opened account before 2003. Then modify, click finish, then in criteria under dates opened, I'm going to put less than 1/1/2003. And then run the query. And see all of them are before 2003. So we have 4 of them. And then you save it. Okay. Now let's move on to the next query. It says display the list of customers with checking accounts. With checking account, so there is one condition they have, it has to be checking account, not saving account, and from Texas. So we're gonna go and then follow the same process, create query wizard, click OK, go to the customer, get the first name, get the last name, get the states, and then from the account table, we are going to get the account type. But you can add more, like balance if you want to. Then click next, and then we're going to give it following title. So checking, okay, customers with checking accounts. So checking account and from Texas. Okay, so modify, click finish. So we have 2 things here. Make sure account type, it says checking. And then the state has to be Texas, TX. So we have 2 conditions. That's why we are on the same row. If they're on different row, it's or. But if they're on the same, it's and. And the run, see, it has to be from Texas and checking account, but it's only 2 customers who made these 2 criteria at the same time. And then you can save it. Okay, so let me see if there is probably one more. Display the list of customers with balances that exceed 5,000. So we are going to 5,000. So query wizard, same steps, customer. So we're going to get the first name, last name, and states. And then for the account table, I'm going to use account type. We'll have dates, open and balance. And then we're going to name it customers exceeding $5,000. And then modify, click finish. So we need to go all the way to balance and put higher than 5,000. And run the program, so it's going to show us all of them are higher than 5,000 and we save it. I hope you find this video useful. Please, if you have any questions, make sure to reach out. Thank you.